Welcome to Faith, Hope, and Love Fellowship. I'm Pastor Sean, and today is Mother's Day, 2016. The Lord changed my message just a few moments ago. I love how He does that. He gives us an on-time message every time.
Mm-hmm.
And this is for Mother's Day. I saw someone had posted something on Facebook that said a mother, or mother rather, is a verb, not a noun. That it's proved in your doing, not just because you gave birth. There's many people who have mothered a child in the sense that they birthed a child, but I would say that the number that have truly mothered and nurtured and cared for is a little smaller than that number who have simply birthed. And it got me thinking about mothers in the scripture. And I believe that Sarah, being a mother in her old age, did not take the fact that she had finally been granted such a promise for granted, but that she mothered in a far more nurturing sense than she may have otherwise. I have such a nurturing mother in my mother, Marcia Key. She is truly an inspiration. She loves unconditionally. And she brought us up and nurtured us. She had 4 children, and she cared deeply and still does for each and every one of us. And she's a wonderful grandmother as well. And the scripture says, train up a child in the way that they should go. And when they're older, they will not depart from it. It is in the verb of the mother, in how she does it, that a victory, a supernatural victory, is won. It is beyond simply giving life to a newborn. It is beyond simply putting forth a child into the world, but it is in training them. Proverbs 14:1 says, "The wise woman builds her house." The wise woman builds her house. But with her own hands, the foolish one tears hers down. And then in Proverbs 24:3, it says, "By wisdom a house is built, and through understanding it is established." Reminded me of the proverb, "Buy the truth and sell it not." Also, wisdom, instruction, and understanding. It is through wisdom that a house is built. And we talked the other day about wisdom being Jesus. That Jesus is the wisdom of God. And so by Jesus, a house is built. And He is our chief cornerstone. By Him, the whole house stands. So it is through the wise woman, the woman who has Jesus Christ, that her house is built. Her children are established through understanding. It is through that training up in the way that they should go, that when they're older, they won't depart from it. They will turn to it. They will remember. They're established and rooted in love when the house is built on a firm foundation. And there is no other firmer foundation than on Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Not every mother in your life is by blood. Some will be spiritual mothers who will impart truth and understanding and wisdom and train you up and be the verb mother for you. Jesus, some of his disciples came to him and said, "Your mother and brothers are standing outside wanting to speak to you." Now, Jesus was still talking. How many times do we interrupt Jesus while he's still talking? But Jesus was still preaching. He's still talking. He's still teaching. And these people come up and they say, your mother and brothers are standing outside, because they were placing an emphasis on importance, status of these people while Jesus is still talking. It's not that Jesus is diminishing their place. He's not disrespecting his mother and his brothers. But his response is, "Who is my mother and who are my brothers?" Pointing to his disciples, he said, "Here are my mother and my brothers, for whoever does the will of my Father in heaven is my brother and sister and mother." I'm still talking, and these people are my family. They're important to me. There's not someone else that's going to have a higher status simply because they're blood kin. Whoever is doing the will of my Father in heaven is my blood kin. My spiritual kinship is through those who would seek first him and his kingdom, his righteousness. So there are spiritual mothers that you will have in your life that are doing the will of the Father in heaven, and they will impart wisdom, instruction, understanding unto you. And Proverbs chapter 31, verse 27 through 28. It says, "She watches over the affairs of her household." She's building her house. She does not eat the bread of idleness. She's doing something. And in her work, it says, verse 28, "Her children arise and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praises her." So the spiritual and blood mothers in our lives who have nurtured and raised us and established us on the wisdom of God, Jesus Christ, they deserve our praise and our blessing and our love and our respect. Second John, the letter is written to a mother. And some have said that it's the mother of Rufus. But it says, to the chosen lady and her children, whom I love in the truth, and not I only, but also all who know the truth, because of the truth which lives in us, and will be with us forever. Grace and mercy and peace from God the Father and from Jesus Christ the Father's Son will be with us in truth and love. It has given me great joy to find some of your children walking in the truth, just as the Father commanded us. And now, dear lady, I am not writing you a new command, but one we have had from the beginning. I ask that we love one another. And this is love, that we walk in obedience to his commands. As you have heard from the beginning, his command is that you walk in love. And he's giving her praise and encouragement that he has heard of how her children are walking in the truth, how she has raised them up, trained them up in the way that they should go, so that they wouldn't depart from it, that they are walking in the will of the Father, which is to love and honor that command to love one another. And one other scripture I want to share with you is in 2 Timothy. And we have another example of how a mother's love for Christ is imparted to the children. 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 4. It says, recalling your tears, I long to see you, so that I may be filled with joy. I have been reminded of your sincere faith, which first lived in your grandmother Lois and in your mother Eunice, and I am persuaded now lives in you also. For this reason, I remind you to fan into flame the gift of God, which is in you through the laying on of my hands. For God did not give us a spirit of timidity or fear, but a spirit of power, of love, and of sound mind or self-discipline. Again, we see an example of where the generations, Lois, Eunice, Timothy, how that transferred down because of the love of the grandmother. She imparted that to Lois. Lois imparted it to Eunice. And Eunice had such a love, it passed on down to Timothy. And look how Timothy went into the world and was a spiritual father for many others because of his love for Jesus. How are you nurturing that in children around you? How are you imparting that love and building a house for the people of God in your life? How are you moving forth and becoming the verb, mother, to the children in your lives? Be nurturing. Be the one who is showing them the way, so that when they're older, they will not depart from it, because they are built and established and rooted in a firm foundation with Jesus Christ as the chief cornerstone. God bless you. We give you blessings to each of the mothers out there, and we give you thanks for what you have done in bringing up your children. God bless you, and happy Mother's Day, and God be with you.